Hi, see you again. So now we go to another subtopic under topic 9, 9.2, the three-domain system. So under this subtopic, we hope that students can list the three domains of life and also can summarize two characteristics that define each of the three domains. From Aristotle's time to the middle of the 20th century, biologists recognized only two kingdoms, kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. This one is based on the same basis of some structural and functional characters, such as locomotion, response to external stimuli, mode of nutrition, and etc. So Plantae or under plants is organism that did not freely move from one to another, did not respond to external stimuli, and did not eat food, and etc. Whereas animal is organism that freely moved from one place to another. They are well responded to external stimuli, they ate holophage food, and etc. So after that, in around 1880s, Ernest Haeckel, the German scientist, adding a third kingdom, which is the kingdom Protista. Kingdom Protista included single-cell microscopic organism, but not multicellular, largely macroscopic one. So, thus, a three-kingdom system right now is consisting of kingdom Protista, Plantae, and Animalia. Later, in 1969, Whittaker expanded the classification system to the 5 kingdoms system, which includes Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. Organisms were placed in these kingdoms based on the type of cell, whether it is prokaryotic or eukaryotic, complexity, whether it is a single cell or multicellular, and type of nutrition. Domain is the highest taxonomic rank of organisms in the three-domain system of taxonomy. The research of scientist Carl Woese comparing the nucleotide sequences of rRNA of prokaryotes and eukaryotes, and he suggested that all organisms actually evolve along 3 distinct lineage, which are the domain bacteria, archaea, and also eukaryotes. So the first domain is the domain bacteria. Bacteria are all prokaryotic unicellular organisms which reproduce asexually. The cyanobacteria are photosynthetic, and most of the bacteria are heterotrophic. They are very important in our ecosystem, and they also keep the chemical cycling going. But the parasitic bacteria can cause disease. The secondly, domain archaea. Archaea are prokaryotic unicellular organisms that reproduce asexually. Compared to bacteria, archaea live in extreme environments. The cell wall of archaea is diverse, but different from bacteria cell wall. Bacteria and archaea differ in rRNA nucleotide sequences. Eukaryotes are single-cell to multicellular organisms whose cells have a membrane-bound nucleus. Commonly, they reproduce sexually and they contain 4 kingdoms, which are Kingdom Protista, Kingdom Fungi, Kingdom Plantae, and Kingdom Animalia. Alright students, let's look at this figure. It is thought that all cells come from common ancestors, then evolve into 3 different types, each representing a domain. The 3 domains are the bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. So bacteria and archaea is actually under prokaryotes. Bacteria and archaea have different rRNA sequences. Archaea have rRNA sequences which similar to eukarya at molecular level. So when you're referring to this branch, this is the common ancestor. Archaea showing the branch that here from archaea have a branch to eukarya, and it shows that archaea is closely related to eukarya and eukarya distantly related to bacteria. Alright students, you can refer this table in your method textbook page 341 to know the major distinctions among the 3 domains of life. Hi students, now we go to the next subtopic, phylogeny. So under this subtopic, we hope that students can discriminate between ancestral and derived traits. Secondly, students are able to interpret the evolutionary relationships depicted in a phylogeny. And lastly, students are able to list the types of traits used to construct a phylogeny. Systematic biology is a quantitative science that compares traits of living and fossil organisms to infer relationships over time. Systematic biologists use characters from the fossil record, comparative anatomy and development, and the sequence, structure, and function of RNA and DNA molecules to construct a phylogeny. A phylogeny is the evolutionary history of a group. A phylogeny is often represented as a phylogenic tree. In a diagram, it can indicate lines of descent, or in Malay, we call it keturunan. Phylogenic tree reflects how species or other groups evolved from a series of common ancestors, and it represents an organism that gives rise to 2 or more new groups. Alright, let's understand these 2 terms under the topic of phylogeny. The first one is the ancestral traits. Ancestral traits present in all members of a group and also in the common ancestor. Ancestral traits are not useful for determining the evolutionary relationships of an ancestor descendants. The derived traits present in some members of a group but absent in the common ancestor. Derived traits are the most important traits for clarifying evolutionary relationships. For example, an opposable thumb not present in the common ancestor of all mammals because it is an ancestral trait of primates. Students, you can refer this figure in your method textbook on page 345. So, here you can see this is the mammal common ancestor. So from this mammal common ancestor, it derived to 2 another derived traits, which are the artiodactyl common ancestor, and the other one is the primate common ancestor. So you can see here, for example, from this artiodactyl common ancestor, it derived to, for example here, two traits that referring to deer and also cattle. So the derived trait is actually referring to the antler. Please refer to the page 345, then you can see that deer is referring to the antlers, and also the other one, derived trait, is the cattle, which refer to the horn. And for the primate common ancestor, it shows that the derived traits of all monkeys referring to the tail. And another one, for all apes, the derived trait is actually referring to the shoulder rotation. This figure you can refer in your method textbook, page 345. So as you move toward the tips of the tree, new derived traits provide greater resolution to the classification. For example, mammals have mammary glands. This shows the ancestral traits, have mammary glands. And for Artiodactyla, have mammary glands and also plus even-toed hooves. But when you're referring to the family Cervidae or deer, the traits evolve from the general common traits of mammals, which is the mammary glands, and then plus the derived traits of hoofed and also plus the antlers. Compared to the cattle or under the family Bovidae, if you can see here, it have mammary gland plus even-toed hooves and also the horn.